Joining us now to talk about it as well. Baba Kalyani is with us, CMD Bharat Forge, which is an Indian multinational company involved in forging automotives, energy, construction and mining, railways, marine, aerospace and defense industries as well. So a big conglomerate there, and he can tell us a lot about what can happen with these young women and men. And we also have R. Rajesh with us, Chairman Society of Indian Defence Manufacturers, Tamil Nadu. He's also head Defence Ashok Leyland, which is an Indian multinational again. It's an automotive manufacturer, India's second largest commercial vehicle maker. In fact, also provides its trucks, buses and specialized vehicles to the Indian Armed Forces. Welcome to you both as well. First to you, Baba Kalyani, could you tell us if the industry has any thoughts on how the use of these Agniveers could be made once they come out of the force, the 75% after a period of 4 years? There is a period to plan as well, these 4 years for that purpose.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Ministry of Defence, the Government of India, for this very out-of-the-box scheme that they have put into place for the armed services. I'm not an expert in terms of the HR processes in the services, but all I can say is it creates a very disciplined person. It creates a person with a very patriotic, nationalistic philosophy. And, this is what India needs in its youth going forward. If in organizations like ours or in the manufacturing sector, if we can get young people who are disciplined, who think in terms of nation, who are reasonably trained and who are young, we can mold them into the best human resources that industry can have. So from that perspective, I think this is a great scheme. Please understand, India's manufacturing sector is going to grow in the next 15 years by 10x. And we are just simply not going to have the talent to support the manufacturing sector, especially disciplined talent and talent with some technical capabilities. And I think if 75% of these Agniveers are going to be, after 4 years, given back to the society, that's a tremendous amount of resource that the society will have, industry will have. I'm partial to industry, but it's not just industry. It can be in any parts, and it'll be great for the nation. And if this goes on for years, I think it'll create the new India that we all talk about.
Yes, certainly. And I think you've moved out of the frame. Baba Kalyani, if I can come to you again, because what is also happening in this country is, and since Bharat Forge is also into the defense industries, could you tell us the indigenization that is taking place? Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense manufacturing is coming in a big way. The government has put out lists twice at least of items which will no longer be imported. All this has a bearing on the fact that you will need such recruits to come into industries as well down the line.
Yeah, absolutely right. The government has created an amazing policy framework and a roadmap. The whole Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme is based on this roadmap. And, today we are looking at not only just indigenization, but I think 10 years from now, India will become a net exporter of defense equipments. And I think there are countries around India that would need our equipment. This whole process has just started. We've got Air Marshal Bhaduria here on the show, and he is been part of this whole process for last many years as Air Marshal of the Indian Air Force. And it's really moving well. I think it's only a matter of a few years before which you will start seeing many companies entering defense production and producing products that you never thought you could produce here.
Certainly. Baba Kalyani, what I'd like to ask you is that you're a leading figure in Indian industry and you have a company which is a multinational. I'm sure you've had through the years a lot of people who've come in from the armed forces, both ex-officers and ex-soldiers, to work for your company. Now, what has been your experience so far in terms of the kind of work these people do, their ethos and the level of sincerity and discipline that they bring to the workplace? And of course,
Well, yeah, we have a fair number of ex-services people, almost 60, 70 of them, from different services, from the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. And their contribution to our business has been excellent. They are disciplined, they are competent, they are very diligent in terms of what they do, and it's great. And as I was saying before, if we have younger people who come in at the age of 24, 25 into industry, who have done 4 years of service in the armed forces, the capability of industry will dramatically increase just because you have a group of people who are disciplined, who have a nationalistic feeling, who understand that you need to build a nation. Because in today's industry, this is lacking. This is terribly lacking today. And, if you want to build an India of $10 trillion economy, which we are talking about in the next few years, you're going to need a huge amount of young people to join the manufacturing sector, the industrial sector, the services sector. And if they have gone through this kind of drill, it will be just, the whole performance system will become much better.
Certainly. And as Baba Kalyani, if I could again bring you in and ask about, just the aspect of remuneration. What do you think will be the prospect in terms of matching the salary with skills once, these Agniveers come out of the 4-year tenure to the industry and say that here's my resume, now, give me a job?
I don't think that's a problem because, what I looked at in terms of the presentation that was made this afternoon and what's been in the media, the remuneration levels, even on the 4th year, is pretty much in line with at least what industry pays. So I don't think that's a problem. Matter of fact, if you get people who have better level of competency, better level of discipline, some form of handling, let's say, sophisticated equipments, like what's in the Air Force or the Navy or even in the Army, I think the remuneration issue is not a problem. And please remember, we are getting these people at a very young age, from 22 to 25, 26 years.
Yes.
So they got a whole career in front of them going forward. Most people only start working around that time. And these guys would already be 4 years trained by the time they get there. So I think it's a really big advantage that India and Indian industry is going to have if this starts happening.
Baba Kalyani, the private industry will be contributing a lot to the modernization of the armed forces as well, and you do need people with technical wherewithal to even operate those systems. So again, the young blood could be effective in that particular aspect as well for all the 3 armed forces.
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
How exactly would this work out in terms of understanding the requirements of the armed forces that keep on changing, evolving with technology as well?
Is this to me?
Yes.
Well, I think it's pretty clear what our armed forces need. It's clear where technology is going. Everything is moving to a digital world. Everything, as Mr. Banerjee said, you need eyes in the sky, you need eyes on the ground, and the technology to provide those eyes is getting pretty complex in terms of how it's deployed. So I don't think the roadmap is very difficult. I think we started this process just recently. The whole indigenization process and whole defense manufacturing in the private sector at least has started only about a few years ago. And I think, we are doing pretty well for the last few years. In less than 6-7 years, we have made some pretty giant leaps. So let's wait till 2030 and you will see how the Indian defense industry works out, both public as well as private. I'm sure this is going to be a big game changer for things to happen in a positive manner.
Right.